trees, see the skies, see the heavens up above. Feel the presence of the Father, feel the presence of His Son. A sweet reminder of provision from the Maker of all things.
We're doing Uncommon Ground. We got a show I'm working on with Sean Griffin. We got a biblical cosmology show going. And I'm asking people questions like, do you believe everything you see on TV these days? No. What about when they're reporting it as news and saying that it's factual journalism? Is that always true? No.
I gave up on that a long time ago.
Hear you. Yeah. So what about when they say scientists have proven? Is that even always true? If they say scientists are claiming, no? Okay, good.
That's like saying the rabbis believe. Well, which rabbis?
I'd like to get this guy's opinion
too.
Yeah. How long have you been doing rabbi work?
Oh,
Currently,
30.
that's for the
38 years. Cool. And your name's Marty, right? Marty, I'm Wes.
I was in ministry I pastored 2 congregations. I was a pastor for 18 years here in Texas. And I've been teaching Torah to Gentiles for 35 years.
Grafting them in? Getting them grafted in?
Yeah. And,
cool. So then, would you say that you believe, is the Earth a ball spinning in space, shooting through outer space?
yes, it is.
It is?
Yeah.
How do we know that? Because scientists have said it and it was on TV and they reported it as news?
Because
is really endowed.
because God talks about the circle of the earth.
He does say the circle of the earth, right? And the pillars and the foundations of the earth, and that it's immovable and that it cannot be moved. And that He fashioned the firmament over it on the first page in the first verse of the first chapter of the first book. What would you say the firmament is?
It's the earth.
The firmament? Yeah. It's called the firmament heaven in Genesis 1:8.
Oh, really?
He did.
Okay. Yeah, I missed it.
That's all right. God created the firmament and He separates the waters above from the waters below. And then He calls the firmament heaven. So it couldn't be the earth, right? Well, if you look at the Hebrew definition of rakia, is the Hebrew word for firmament, right? It says it's conceived as a solid vaulted dome, a vault of heaven, a solid structure. And that's why it would be able to separate bodies of water.
Right.
And so this is where you get the theory. A lot of people believe that the firmament was this ice canopy that has been dropped down at the flood, maybe? Do you believe it's still there? The firmament?
If God created it, and God's the same yesterday, today, and forever, what He creates, it stays.
That's right. That's right, I agree. And especially to see Isaiah and Revelation both talk about the prophecy of when Yeshua comes back, the firmament rolls open like a scroll. The heavens roll open like a scroll. So it would have to be something solid to be able to roll open. And if it has gates and windows in it, like what happened through the flood. So we're told that we live on a spinning ball shooting through space. I would propose to you that the scriptures consistently, from Genesis to Revelation and all the books that weren't included in the modern American canon, those all have consistently spoken of a cosmology much different than a spinning ball and what NASA has told us. It tells us of a flat, motionless, stationary plane of existence enclosed in a domed ceiling with geocentric luminaries rather than heliocentric. Has this been a topic of study for you at all?
Never.
No?
No.
It's what brought me to realize that the Bible is true, that Christ is real.
Cool. That's a good thing.
Absolutely.
I'm glad He did.
Think we went to the moon?
Yes. Absolutely not.
How? We can't penetrate the firmament. There's 2 things. My brother was a satellite controller in the military. That's what he did. I mean, I asked him about it. He said no. And he's like, they've actually had satellites get too close to the radiation belts, up to the downhand radiation belts, and fry them. They're so wasted that they're not even worth retrieving because they fry them beyond repair. And so, how would we get through? There's 4 of them, 4 different layers. How would we get to them?
dlive.
Our cell phone is stronger than everything NASA had.
Oh, I know that.
So how will we control a Cracker Jack box going to the moon and go there 3 or 4 times?
And then do a landline call to President Nixon.
How do you get thrust in a vacuum?
There you go. Yeah, combustion and thrust propulsion couldn't exist with no atmosphere to push off of or air to make combustion. If there's no gases, they say that they carry their own oxygen with them on the space shuttles, but if you're shooting it out into a vacuum, there's nothing to push off of. Interesting. There's a lot of things like that. This is just the tip of the iceberg. I have one more question for you, if you wouldn't mind. Where is heaven?
Someplace outside of this ball that we live in.
So most people, when you ask them, they say up, right? So, but if you're hanging off the bottom of
Right,
a ball, like in Australia down under,
right.
then that would be a different
Right.
relative direction for them.
It's
But consistently, it says like when Yeshua comes back, every eye will see him. It does say that he showed him, Satan took him to a high mountain, showed him every kingdom. There's a lot of things that wouldn't be able to happen if you're on top of the ball and there's the bottom that's out of sight. So there's a lot of those kind of things. But then that third heaven that Paul speaks about in Corinthians, where he said, I knew a man, whether in the spirit or in the body, I don't know, I was taken up to the third heaven to see paradise. Well, if that's up, like the scriptures consistently describe, whereas we're told we live on the outside of a ball, whereas God says from the first page, he's the best author ever, right? So he lays the setting and the place, and he says that he built a house with multiple layers of roof, and that we live inside of that house, inside of an enclosure. And so if you think about things like, how do we have atmosphere, breathable, pressurized, barometric pressure gas? That wouldn't exist if we were surrounded by a vacuum, because the second law of thermodynamics dictates that all the gas would be sucked off into the vacuum with no container. God created a container so we could have pressurized gas, and he called it the firmament. Yeah, no worries. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. I really appreciate it.
I like learning.
Yeah, it's been amazing because once you realize that we're not shooting around through an infinite outer space of a vacuum on the road to nowhere with infinite potential of other life forms, it's nice to think he has a whole bunch of real estate. But what he says in his word over and over again is that this is it. We're the center of it all. And that the heavens are directly above us, and this is the only material world that he's created for us. And that once you realize that he's built this structure over us and he made all this for us, then you realize that he's close and that he's not an infinite. You don't have to make up some ethereal galaxy wispy dimension that he's been in. He's literally in a physical dome ceiling above us. And there's 7 of them, right? Seven heavens. So thank you for letting me share with you, brother. I appreciate your time. Absolutely. It blew my mind because it made me realize we've been lied to and that God is real. I appreciate you stopping by.
So we go in with intention, where we celebrate.
I'm on saxophone.
Yeshua Yeshua
Man, we got this guy baptized.
Yeshua feel this place. Yeshua come, we need your embrace. Yeshua come. Amen.